So today we are talking to Marcela and Taylor Curbs.
Yes.
They are the owners of Bustin' Moves, a moving company here in East Idaho. Well, is Boise considered East Idaho? They're over in Boise,
that's
Twin
like
Falls.
Treasure Valley. Yeah.
Treasure Valley
So
area.
we started in Eastern Idaho and expanded into Southern and Treasure Valley.
And Treasure Valley.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about what Bustin' Moves does.
Yeah, so Bustin' Moves is your hometown, local Idaho moving company. We are here to move you, to make it less stressful. We want you to enjoy your new house, your new chapter in your life, your new apartment, this new transition. We don't want you to have to worry about the moving part. We will worry about that for you.
Because it is exciting to move to a house. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And to think about, well, I just upgraded from this house to this house. That's so much fun. But then you think about bridging that gap of your furniture from this house to the house. And then all of a sudden you just like dive into depression. And
You move all your new furniture in and it fills up like a corner of the house.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we're like, we want you guys to be, or our customers to be on a high the whole time. Let us take that on, because our guys, it's so funny. Our customers will just look, and our guys are smiling, having fun.
Yeah.
And guess what they're doing the next day? They're moving somebody else. And it blows customers' minds away that we do this every day. And the guys just have fun, laugh,
Get it done and get it done right.
Yep. Get it done right.
Okay, so
I'm
I'm
sure
gonna.
that's important with the moving job, which could suck if it didn't have that vibe.
No, because
Yeah.
the houses aren't
If you're
designed.
moving with grumps all day and they're just angry and you're fighting with
Yeah.
people, that would be like the worst job.
It's because it's already so physically demanding, and to be and have a bad attitude, it would be hard.
We definitely go through, like, we have amazing guys and amazing crew, but like one of our qualifications is culture. Like, are you a good cultural fit? And like somebody could be like, well, how do you quantify that? Like, how do you measure that? Our guys will let us know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our guys will let us
It's
know.
actually surprisingly easy.
It's actually really easy. Do people like you? You know what I mean? Like, are you fun to work with? And we've had to let people go because they're not. And it's a downer. Like, no one wants to be around a Debbie Downer or anything like that. So when you come in to the Bustin' Moves team, like even in our office, Alex is smiling, Katrina, Carter, the nicest person in the whole world, our movers like Andrew, Abood, all those guys, they're having a good time. Like, they'll send videos. We did this one job for a realtor in this house.
It was foreclosed. It was abandoned.
It was like a squatter's house.
It
was like a squatter mansion. It was
huge but disgusting.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have like the group text with the movers, and one of our movers, Abood, he took a picture of this couch. It was just like messed up, like garbage
Animals
couch.
gone to the bathroom on it. It was
torn
disgusting.
up. It was disgusting. And he was just like, gonna post this on like Facebook, buy, sell, trade. He's just like non-smoker, pet-free, like new couch. It was just hilarious. And that's how our crew is, because you have to be. Moving is hard. There's no way to get around it. But when you're around people like that, it makes it fun. You know?
Our cultural, it is such a big thing to us, because let's say a guy comes in, he's not a good fit. The team would rather have him not work, and they do more work with the guys they enjoy.
I feel that.
So that is very big for us. If you don't fit, like, it's a hard job. So we want to make it enjoyable, And so if you're not a good fit, we'll push you out. And those guys that don't have that extra body are going to pick up the slack with the people they trust, they love.
Do you find people who does the hiring?
So
we kind of like so we put out a hiring ad. I do screening questions.
Okay.
Right? Like, there's basic set of questions that we set out, like basic questions that you get a job. Why do you think you'd be good for fit for this job? What's your experience? Where was your last job? So on and so forth. Right. And then everything gets passed over to Connor. And then Connor does like in-person interviews if they pass those screener questions first.
And I'll look them up on Facebook just to get a vibe for them.
Totally.
Yeah. Like, Facebook's real, people really use it for
we literally,
That's the very first, when I see an applicant, I look at his resume and then I go right to Facebook just to see who. I can see your work history, now I want to see your face or what you believe in, or
See
what
if
are
it
you
matches
up
up
to?
with everything you just said to me.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes we've had people that apply and they have some funky posts, and we're like,
that's why I asked. I was gonna say, do you find people are pretty good at lying to you in the interview, and then you find out later that they're different?
Yes, it's so crazy. Everybody's all amped up to get a job during the interview process, and then the moment you're like, "Hey, time to come in,
work,"
you don't hear from them anymore. And so, a lot of our most success is referrals within. So
there you go.
Abood, he likes to go to the gym, he likes to work out. He's gonna find guys that he enjoys. We have the twin brothers. Their brother-in-law was our first. Like he's the one that has Andrew. He's been here with us for 4.5 years. So like it's everybody kind of. Who do you like? Who's your friend? Let's work together and,
and
stuff
it's kind of
like
that whole thing. Like, tell me who your friends are. I'll tell you who you are. So like, if you're an awesome guy and we love you and we love working with you, you're probably going to be hanging out with very similar people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we give our guys bonuses and kickbacks, right? Yeah. So like, if we hire someone that they referred and they stick around for X amount of time, they get a nice little bonus.
Do you find that hard hiring friends of friends? Do they have issues working with each other? Make it.
Sometimes there's been friends where they'll stop showing up, but I always tell our current employee, I'm like, hey, that's on them. I'm not going to hold. I'm not holding that. That's not your fault. It's his own doing. So I mean, they kind of feel bad if they don't pan out.
Sure,
they do feel bad because they obviously love the company. They've been with us for years.
But we don't hold it against them.
No.
There's no way they don't know.
And friends, it can get a little too goofy, silly, because like, I don't know. I am very competitive. I'm not very fun at work. Like I am not, when I was at the jobs, I wasn't fun. I'm like, we have a job to get done. Let's get done. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So now sometimes the guys will be doing like TikTok videos and stuff. And I'm like, it's like, I have to leave. But the customers, everyone's okay with it. So it can get too silly with friends. You need somebody that's in charge that can say, hey guys, we got to get this done. Like customers paying us a lot per hour. Everything's hourly paid. So we can't be wasting. So it's
always like the worst when Taylor's like, he's like, I'm just going to unwind and get on my phone, watch some social media. And then like, I hear him go, and it's like a TikTok that like our guys made with like the customer while they're moving or something. And I'm like, no, like everyone's having fun. It's fine.
No. Yeah. And so, so that can be a problem. People can be a little too silly and stuff. So, because I always use this as an example. When we're moving stuff, we're not just moving furniture, we're moving their lives. That couch is just a couch to me, but that might have a super significant value to you guys. That
I was born on this couch.
Exactly.
Literally.
Born and raised on that couch, and so like we have to go into it with that weight that is your birthing couch, and so we can't.
No one's gonna sit on this couch anymore.
So that's why I'm not very fun sometimes.
No, that's important though to have.
I get that. I'm the same way when it's not in this creative job. It's easier to slow down because you have to be creative. But I've had jobs before where it's like it's just judged on getting things completed, really. And when that's the job. I'm not fun either. I'm kind of like, I'm like we're working hard. Like I don't want to talk and have fun. Just get this done.
And so, but then we get the reviews and the customers saying they were so fun, well worth it. You know, work so fast. I mean, because when you guys were there videoing, I'm like, why are these guys moving so slow? What's going on? And you guys are like, man, they're getting everything done. So it's just
I'm like running after them with the camera.
That's funny.
But even the lady, she was like, they move so fast. I'm gonna be in there by like dinner time. So. She didn't think it was slow.
Well, and like speaking about reviews, like one thing, if I'm ever having a tough day at work or I talked to a customer that almost made me cry or something, I go back and I look at our reviews. The other day we got a review from this customer on Google and it said, like they were great, all the normal stuff people say on reviews. And she said they were so kind.
And it just got you.
It just like exploded my little heart because like the word kind, to feel someone being kind to you, that's a big feeling. You can say someone's nice, they're great, they're awesome. Those are just kind of like words people throw out there. But to hear the word kind, I thought that was so, so awesome. And so, I don't know.
So you called back that other customer and showed them that review?
Yeah, send it to her.
How kind we are.
What you said.
That's not what she thinks. But
so what we did is we found somebody who is specific to moving companies because he knows the words. He knows.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean? So if you can, because SEO is just kind of a shot in the dark. You know, a company's going to take 6 months just to figure out what words work for you guys, keywords, right? Where he already has a very good list of keywords and data to show this word, movers and backlinks and all that. I would definitely shop with somebody who's in your specific area.
How did you find him? Like as someone in that category?
Just within our moving groups and different company owners and stuff.
Really?
Facebook,
he reached out to us on Facebook. We started like the business, and he reached out to us and started emailing back and forth, and we kind of started educating ourselves a little bit about SEO and a lot of things that we did in our business. We were like, oh, we'll just do it. Right at the beginning, we'll just do it. We'll figure it out. I tried. And I couldn't. And so then we're like, we got to reach out.
Well, even my cousin, he had a SEO company, marketing company. And he's like, yeah, it's easy. You guys can figure it out. You guys are smart people. You can figure it out. And we kind of we got diving into it, and we're like, whoa, there's no way we can figure this out. And he even was more geared towards law firms. So even he specialized in his SEO. And so that's what made us look out to moving company SEO companies, because
yeah. And even like, so our SEO guy who does specific moving companies, we have like 4 locations, and every location performs differently. You know what I mean? So like SEO could be very dependent just on your specific locations. Like you guys being here in Idaho Falls, you know, as opposed to someone like in Boise or even Pocatello, the market is just totally different.
Interesting. And it's all the same SEO.
Keywords, because certain people in Idaho Falls are going to, like, let's say they're looking for, you know, a studio like this. They might use different words than someone in Boise. And that's where the SEO, they really dive deep in what are people searching? What is bringing traffic into your company? And so.
Yeah. Like even as a specific, like sometimes most people I feel like look up like near me. I feel like in Boise, because Boise is the bigger city amongst Meridian, Nampa, Kuna, all those other ones, I feel like people in Meridian will look up the word movers in Boise, because that's just the bigger city rather than movers near me. It seems like it's trending that way. That's what we're kind of learning with it right now.
Yeah.
And that's not the case in Pocatello?
No, not the case in Pocatello. Okay. In Pocatello, people look up movers in Pocatello. Like we've done our research, and that's like the number one phrase that pulls up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Interesting.
So if you're in a small town, you're going to be specific, and if you're in a big town, less specific.
Less specific. Yeah. Movers in Meridian, movers in Boise, not movers near me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're in like Income or like St. Anthony or somewhere small, like that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think about that. And then the specialized SEO person. That makes a lot of sense, because then one thing that's hard is the backlinks.
Yes.
That was the one that we've struggled with the most right now, was the backlinks, and where to even get them.
These backlinks.
Like where and who.
Are there a lot of competition with the moving SEO, like getting backlinks? Because like for photography, it's really hard to make a piece of content that stands out that people want to share. Right. There's just so many people doing it.
I think more so now than before. I think people like the moving industry, I think, was a very blue collar, roll up your sleeves, do it yourself, like I'm a mover, kind of, you know, like a mechanic or something like that. Yeah. And now I think it's becoming a little more like, oh, let's use this technology. Let's use the social media. Let's use the SEO more so. And so it is becoming more competitive. But what's nice is in our area, I don't feel like very many people are trying to compete in that way.
Not in that way, no.
So
you guys are going above and beyond, paying attention to those things.
Absolutely. Yes. And trying to stay on top of it.
Yep.
Cool. I feel like in the East Idaho area in general, maybe just because I've seen you guys, but I don't see any other moving companies.
No.
We saw one of your big trucks the other day.
Right by our house. So we were like, hey, we should take a photo of that. And then we came back and I was like, it's gone. That was so fast.
Yeah, they posted that.
Yeah, they got out of there.
Yeah, no, it's oh man, it's been so neat. In Idaho, when Taylor came up with this idea of starting a moving company, I was like, no, like that. I was like that. I cried.
Where did this come from?
Oh my gosh.
Where did this moving company idea start?
The creativeness of Bust a Move. So I've always been very athletic. Growing up, I was very athletic. I was tall. I was broad. but I had a mind of like, I want to work for myself. I'm going to have a business. I don't know what that business is. You know, my grandpa, he was a rancher. He had his own farm. He had his own, you know, cows and worked for himself. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I had such a supportive mother. Anything I wanted to do, Taylor, you can do it. You're going to be the best at it. You can do it. You can do it. So I took all of that. Okay, I have a strong body. You know, I'm physically active. I can do this. And then I have a mind of, I don't like using the word entrepreneur for some reason. It makes me feel weird. I'm a business owner. I don't know. It just makes me feel weird. Okay, but I had this mind to create a business. And so I put those two things together, and that's where moving came from. You know, it is very physically demanding, and there is such a business side to it that I feel is what sets us apart is a lot of these people, they start a moving company and it's owner operator. They're in the truck. And I knew from the beginning, I didn't want to be in the truck the whole time. No. I wanted to run a business because that's what I am good at, you know? And so that's how the moving company, and there's more to it. I moved my mom a lot when my parents got divorced, but like I could narrow it down to a strong body and a business owning mindset.
Yeah. And so you had that moving experience a little bit before. So that's when you were like, I'm capable of this.
No. I worked for a furniture company when I was 19. Okay. And I didn't start the moving company till 30.
Yeah. Till 30.
Yeah. 30.
That was scary.
So there wasn't like, there was nothing. I day one, I had to be like, hey, how am I going to load this truck? You know, we're moving somebody today. I'm learning on the job, but you can't let the customer know you're learning on the job. You know what I mean? So I loaded the truck and I'm like, well, that didn't look good there. That didn't fit there. So then you just start learning techniques. You start researching and studying and
So how did we get to that point of doing your first moving job?
First moving job. So I was working a desk job, and we just made
where at?
At Shepherd Truss. It was for my stepdad. They had a truss company for homes, and so I was designing them,
doing paperwork and stuff like that.
Actually, designing the trusses.
Fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so during the winter, it was so dead, and I just kept seeing all these houses and different things coming into the area, and I said, I want to be a part of this. How can I get involved with this growth coming in? And you know, in our area, it's a very religious area, and we heard that a temple was coming. And where we grew up in Burley, Twin Falls, when the temple was built in 2008, the whole world was like recession, but Twin Falls was booming. So I knew the moment that they announced the temple in Pocatello was going to blow up. So I really dove into it and be like, hey, we are going to, at first I wanted storage units, but you have to be a millionaire to make a million.
The property alone.
And I didn't know that, you know, and getting into it, I'm like, holy cow, you have to have a lot of money to get into storage units. But I knew I was going to have a moving company with my storage units. So then I was like, well, why don't we just skip storage units right now and let's do the moving company. And so the very first thing I did was bought a truck, $12,000. We didn't have $12,000. We didn't have
$12,000.
Did you take out a loan? Or?
We had to, yeah. So we had to take out a loan. We were living in like government housing. We were going to school. We were going to school like government housing and everything. And I told Marcela, I said, hey, I'm going to buy this truck. It's $12,500.
She was like, what are
oh
you
my
talking
God.
about?
No.
$12,000.
Immediately
about? No. And so she said, fine, whatever. You have to do this. You're doing it by yourself. I'm not helping you. I'm not anything. Not the supportive.
No, not at all.
That was a double whammy, $12,000 and that it's a moving company. Like,
stuff like that sounds
I don't want
to move. Moving sucks.
Well,
moving
and
is terrible.
Taylor, I don't know, he hates making phone calls.
Yes,
so
I hate being on the phone.
I was like, how is he going to do this? So that's when I was just like, he always says I was his first business presentation. I remember being in our itty bitty kitchen on the table, and he's just talking, and he has all these ideas and these plans, and he wants a truck, and he wants to have uniforms right off the bat, and he wants it to have decals on it. And I'm just like, cha-ching, cha-ching,
literally everything.
Right?
And I was just like, in what world, or like what credit card are we going to get approved for? Because we don't have money. You know what I mean? But you always have what you need. Like what you have is what you need. And what we had is what we needed. Taylor had the ambition and maybe the motivation of my naysaying to
I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Yeah. I said the worst thing ever. I was student teaching at the time. We had 2 little kids. I was still going to college and he was working full time. And I remember being like, when you fall flat on your face, I will be here with my teaching salary and my benefits.
Carrying this family.
Carrying this on my back. Yeah. That's not how that went down.
Okay. You know, it was weird. Like I never had a doubt in my mind that it wasn't going to succeed, but I didn't have the vision to what it is now. Like it's kind of weird to how it started. So I needed $12,000 to buy this truck. I didn't know how business loans worked. You have to have 20% down to what you need. So then I'm like, okay, well, the truck costs $12,500. So I need, what is that? $3,000. I don't have $3,000. But what I did was say that I needed $4,000 or $5,000 worth of equipment. So then they gave me $12,500. So I bought the truck, you know, so I kind of, even though we needed that equipment, I just needed to get that $12,500 for the truck.
Yeah.
I went to ICCU. They're like, no, you're a startup. We're not even dealing with you. A couple other banks, they said, you know, why would we even mess with a startup? He's like, we have farmers, you know, that's our bread and butter.
And like your $3,000 you're asking for.
Yes,
12
exactly.
$12 grand and that's
drop in the bucket.
But to me, I was like,
why?
yeah, like it's
Like,
$12,000.
why not?
If
If you're
it
saying
fails,
you have all these farmers, then yeah,
$12,000. What is
nothing.
$12,000?
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. But they were like, no. And Marcela was like, he's gonna quit. Like he's gonna quit calling people.
Like, this is gonna.
How long did that go on for? The no's?
Probably 7 no's. I can't remember the time frame, but there were 7 no's.
That's
Because
a
I was making phone call after phone
I'm sure
call.
you're getting discouraged.
Yeah. And then Bank of Idaho, I called and I talked to the guy and he said, you know, he's like, come in. He's like, we do work with startups. So come in, you know, present. So I told Marcel, I said, hey, I know you're not supporting me. I know, but I was like, I need you to come with me and put up a front. Like, we're doing this. You look pretty. Just sit. We're going to be a power couple. Just sit there. And so I showed him the presentation, and the guy goes, he's like,
not encouraging
not
at
encouraging,
all.
but he's just like, well, it's just crazy enough. It might work.
And I about started crying. I'm like, the banker also thinks it's not going to work.
Enough? That's interesting.
So what were they so doubtful of? Because the moving company
it sounds like
startup.
A startup. And like, I don't think in Idaho, if you think about it, like most of the time, our biggest competition is the church. Free movers, service movers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like he wasn't a religious guy himself, but he knew that that's who people call is the church to move them. You know, he kind of lived up in the nicer area and they still call the church to
Interesting.
move them.
Yeah.
So
I guess I didn't really know.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. Like that heavily.
Super heavily. And so
well, and also just like in Idaho, you know, people are like, oh, just roll up your sleeves and do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the hiring services is not as much
that
of
turning
a thing.
point of getting.
So that's where I think he thought it was crazy. Like, yeah, it could work, but Idaho people don't do that. So he gave us $12,000. I flew out to Denver, bought the truck, came back. I think we had a credit card that had a $2,000 limit or something. We maxed that out buying dollies, pads. I can't remember how we paid for the decals because the decals were $1,600.
Every swipe getting scarier.
Yeah, scarier and scarier. But then you get to a point you're like, well, I'm already
We're
this
here.
This is happening.
Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And so then I put a $5 Craigslist ad and we started getting phone calls just from Craigslist.
Yeah.
And I was still sitting at my desk and I worked in the same office as the owner. So I'm like, I can't be answering these phone calls with him in here. I'm getting paid to sit here.
Work.
Yeah. And so we finally started doing some jobs and I told Marcela, I was like, hey, so I can't answer the phone because I'm obviously working for somebody else. But I said, but look at this. If I miss this job, let's say this job's a $500 job, I'm only getting paid $100 a day.
Yeah.
You know,
in retrospect.
And so I was like, we are missing out on money by me not being able to answer the phones. So I quit 2 weeks.
Nice. Immediately after that, when it was like, this is.
It was from the
well, you
moment.
put your money already.
There's no plan B.
There's no plan. And that's exactly
That's like
what
a
it
controversial
is.
piece of advice that you could give people.
Like no plan B.
Some people say, we had someone on a podcast a while ago, which I think is great advice to not go into debt over a business. But on the other end, like maybe if you put all your eggs into one basket and don't have that plan B, you have
as long as it's going to work. Like it's a working idea.
I don't know if it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole gamble. That's the whole fun. Like I'm getting chills just talking about it. Because Tony Robbins, that's what Tony Robbins says. If you want to take the island, you got to burn the ships. If you have the boats to leave the island,
you're going to leave.
You're going to leave one day when it gets tough. But if your only option is to go forward, is to succeed, there's no failing.
Yeah.
It's you're in it. You have to do it. And to go with that, I don't necessarily believe in. I think you should go into debt. I really, for business purposes.
We've gone into debt for business.
Absolutely. But that shows your commitment level, and you're not just tiptoeing.
Yeah.
Because who's going to have? We weren't even close to $12,000. So if I waited to have $12,000, I would still be. I would still be in government housing. Yeah, exactly. So
here's the thing too, though. Historically, if you look back on things, the U.S. is where it's at right now because we have used debt, right? Yeah. So if you're going out to get in debt because you're buying a cute outfit, okay, maybe be smart in those areas. You know what I mean? But if you're going into debt to educate yourself to become better at your business, to buy a moving truck, to buy a dolly, and that will make your business grow, then do that and believe in yourself and be like, yeah, I'm going to pay that debt off. Debt is not bad. And I feel like in Idaho, people are like, I'm debt free. Well, congrats, dude. That's great. But sometimes people who are in debt are making more money. Be in smart debt, right?
Smart debt,
get into good trouble, not bad trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I do a little bit of both.
It's going to be a happy medium.
Have a little fun now.
Which I'm sure was also exciting, though, being an entrepreneur and starting your own business is more write-offs.
Exactly. The write-offs.
Write it off.
Just write it off.
You can buy anything
Who
now.
writes it off? The write-off people. Yeah. No, write-offs and leveraging. But with that, we just bought a house, and that because you write everything off. So when you write
it's hard
it,
now.
It's hard. It's hard now. Yes, but now we got into the house, so we're gonna go back to
max out all the credit cards.
Yeah, let's go back to
making no money now.
No money. Yeah, pay less taxes and everything. So to go back, I put a Craigslist ad.
Okay.
And we just were getting phone calls. So I quit my job after 2 weeks of that very first
That's
Craigslist.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What does your Craigslist ad say?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It
was no, I don't. I shut my phone off. I haven't posted it for 3 or 4 years.
It's been a while.
But I made it look good. Professional pictures, jobs, me in my uniform, my right-hand guy, us together. And it wasn't just necessarily moving company, hire us. It was a very thought out,
heartfelt,
kind of said, I was Idaho grown. It's an Idaho grown business, and I'm an Idaho guy. I know how to roll up my sleeves. And
Idaho grown, locally owned.
Idaho grown, that's
we
what
wanted it to rhyme.
That's what it was. Idaho
grown, locally owned.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that was the headline of it. And then after 2 weeks, I quit, and we haven't looked back. I mean, since then, probably 5,000 moves.
Wow.
Jeez.
So how many years are you at right now?
5.5.
Wow. That's a lot of moves. Oh my gosh.
So I was looking back just yesterday on our system, and we've done 100 moves, over 100 moves, month after month after month after month.
Wow.
I don't think we've gone under 100 moves a month since last May.
And you guys are in Boise, IF, Twin,
and
Pokey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Pocatello is kind of our central location. That's where our headquarters is. For Idaho Falls, we send our guys out of Pocatello to go cover it.
Okay.
Just keep it centralized. It's not the best system, but
it's what works.
It's what works for us. I do pay the guys off the clock to get to
Till
Idaho
maybe
Falls.
those other towns get bigger and
exactly
worth your time.
Yeah. So
and we've even talked to guys on our team. Hey, do you want to move to Idaho Falls? Get a raise, different things like that.
For the business.
Yeah, for the business to grow within the business.
Cool.
Yeah.
In Boise, we do have our crew there and one of our sales gals there
in a truck
in the Boise area. So we have a physical place in Boise and then physical in Pocatello.
Okay.
Is it similar to the one in Pocatello, the Boise location?
No, it's not as big.
Small.
It's smaller.
It's small.
Yeah.
But you have an actual crew there full time?
Yes, we have a crew there full time.
Yeah,
Nice.
and they moved from Pocatello. They're twin brothers. Yeah, and
They're
so
awesome.
they're studs.
Shout out
Juan and Carlos. Those two can move anything and everything. Just those two. I don't know. They fight like twin siblings, but they work so well together. They just get in the house and their rhythm. They work together every day, live together. Wow. Yeah. Yeah,
and then they're running the Boise one a little bit together there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
You know, taking care of it.
So clearly people are liking you guys moving and your process more than the church moving for them.
Yeah.
Just
a little bit.
It's a little more expensive, but yeah.
I mean, that watching you guys move that day we did the content for you.
Yeah.
I've never been able to afford movers during moves, so I just never had that luxury.
Right.
But man, after seeing that, I was like, if I ever can, I am never moving again for myself. Because watching your crew do that was just like, the homeowners were just chilling all day.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were kind of packing up their own little things. That you guys just made it so fast and like easy. Where I was jealous of all the other moves that we've done.
We've done so many.
That would have been so nice.
Backbreaking moves.
Yeah. No, and you're right. It is kind of a luxury. You know, it is, and that's kind of when sometimes if somebody can't afford us, I'm like, well, it's not a necessity business. You know what I mean? You can find resources and stuff, but moving yourself sucks.
It is.
It sucks.
It's a sacrifice if you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll pay if you don't want to.
God, all the time it takes and just prepping and everything, and then you get done prepping, then you're like, we still got to move it.
Yep.
And then unpack it.
Figure out where it's going to go.
Yes,
It sucks.
Hard.
It really is. And we just moved recently. So I'm like, and I tried not to have the guys come do it because I'm like,
tried. I can do this. I'm the original.
We tried. We tried.
Oh, it is so hard.
It is so we're just like,
every minute of
just
it.
had the guys
So
come
we
over.
were like, we quit. Just come move us, please.
But no, it's good. Yeah, it's been good. So we've just been busy ever since that Craigslist. And now we haven't posted on Craigslist for a while. We've kind of graduated from Craigslist.
That's good.
People sleep on Craigslist though to start.
Yeah,
that's how we started.
That's how we started with
That's
Craigslist
awesome.
too.
Absolutely.
Posting like cheap free photo shoots and you
Yes.
get people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
we
all
did, and they
start
were
somewhere.
good jobs.
They were good
they weren't
jobs,
like sketchy jobs or anything like that. You would think it's like a sketchy crowd on Craigslist. Not at all.
No.
Like good piano jobs, like nice. We moved a military gentleman up to the Boise area. That he was our very first move. Like, so we got some good, decent jobs out of there.
Yeah.
We should go back to Craigslist.
Just that's what I was
put it
thinking
on
about
there
that the
for
other day.
Right, you never
why not?
know.
Yeah, $5
What is it,
ad.
$5 an ad or something
why not?
like that?
Why not?
Yeah, they upped it to $5 a couple years ago.
Does that help with backlinks?
Right?
Okay, so you did your first job. Were you by yourself,
Yeah, I
or
wanna
did
hear
you
this
have
first
a
move.
crew,
No, so
or how did?
The very first job that it was a loading job, and I just had to text a friend and be like, "Hey, can you help me?" He worked at ICCU, and he's like, "Yeah, I can come help you." So we did it, not knowing what we were doing, and then one of my neighbors from a while ago, he was going to ISU, but he was done for like a year. So I called him up and I said, "Hey, would you like to work with me? I'm starting a moving company." And he said, "Sure." You know, and Thomas from day one, it was me and Thomas doing every house. If you had and it was funny, Marcela would take some sales calls once she kind of warmed up and saw, okay, there's some things happening here.
Yeah.
And we have some questions that we ask. And let's say it's a 3,000 square foot home. You know, we have different processes now, but Marcella knew no matter what, we were sending two movers
and one truck.
Just because that's all we had. But we had these questions like, oh yeah, you know, like
how many levels?
How many
stairs?
levels?
As if it mattered.
As if it even matters. Like,
we had two guys and a truck.
We're pulling a 16-hour day. Sorry, babe.
Yeah. That first summer, I mean, it was 16, 18, 26. It was a lot. It's weird when you have that vision. It doesn't feel like 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like it really doesn't.
It's worth it.
And you guys, I'm sure you guys are going through the exact same thing. Like it does get tiring, but you're like, it's so worth it.
And there's no other choice. Like, what's the choice? You don't have a choice.
I'm not going to another job to go in. Like, that's
work
the whole
for somebody
point.
else.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
And you're not going to be like, nope, not doing it anymore. Like, you have to. And then you see the reward. But like, I think that like in business, there's seasons, right? So Taylor pulling those 16-hour days back to back to back, he was laying a foundation. And I think without even knowing, he was creating like a system that our guys use now.
For sure.
You know, and we still use, and we document, and we teach, and we train, and we execute over and over and over again.
But I'm also humble enough. My way wasn't the best way, you know? And if a guy comes in and says, "Hey, I don't like how we do this. I see this, this, and this." I'm like, okay, let's do that. You know, we're a big believer in if there's a problem, don't just come to us with the problem. It's we call it 1-3-1. You have one problem, you come up to me with 3 solutions, and then we're going to come up with one solution together at the end of it. So so we want problem solving abilities.
Absolutely.
It probably makes you guys a lot more comfortable working for you, knowing they can come to you with that.
Yeah.
I'm sure as the ones doing the job, the actual moving, they probably will have insights that you
Well, because I don't go to the move. So I'm like, this sounds, let's do it this way. But then the movers are like,
logistically, it might just not work out.
Exactly.
And then they come and give us that feedback. And that's why we've been able to grow.
Yeah.
You know, and every time like we hire someone or we train somebody, we tell them, do you have a flexible mindset? Because we are constantly changing our sales script, our mover processes, our systems, like because we want to grow and not just stay comfortable.
Sure.
They have to understand you're a growing company.
Yes.
Always.
Too. Yes.
Yeah,
yep. Exactly.
sure.
And that's one of those flexible mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So backing up a ways, I had a few classes with you in college.
Yes.
I remember, and I was always like, who's that tall, huge dude over there? And like, why doesn't he play football? Because I was on the football team and I was like, why doesn't he? Yeah. So what were you doing back then? Like why didn't you play sports? It was
so I did. So when I said I was a good athlete and had a lot of potential, I was a bad student. So I did go to Idaho State. I got a scholarship. Yeah, I got a scholarship out of high school to play at Idaho State. I left after the first year because I got kicked off of my scholarship because my grades. I wasn't. It was weird.
You live and you learn.
You know, I went to college and you don't have to show up if you don't want to.
Yeah. It's 100%.
It's so easy.
It's hard.
Yep. And I never wanted to show up. So then I left Idaho State and I went to Snow College, a junior college in Utah, and played there. And same thing, like I wasn't a good student. I just wanted to play football. So that's my background of.
It's like if your mind was where it is now back then, it would have been a totally different story.
Yeah, it would have been a very different story.
I get that completely.
Agree.
Yeah.
College would be totally different if I did it again now.
Totally.
And honestly, I mean, I would play football again. But if I didn't have football, I wouldn't go to college.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy against college. Like some things that you have to go to college for. I'm like, you could YouTube it.
Yeah.
YouTube it.
It is.
Yes, YouTube University.
Like, it's just not the right curriculum. There's things that are missing that need to be there.
Yes, exactly. I remember an anatomy test. I got like a 98%. I called Marcela. I'm like, I just got a 98% on this anatomy test. She's like, what was it about? I'm like,
She's like, I don't know.
I couldn't remember, but I just memorized the answers.
Where my bones are.
Yeah, exactly. I just memorized all the answers, so I knew exactly. But then after, moments after, it was gone. I'm like,
he was like, I couldn't tell you one thing that was on that test.
Yeah, but I got a 98, and I didn't cheat. Like it was a earned 98, but I couldn't remember anything. So that's when I really was like, college is It's about memorizing. It does. If you have a college degree, it does show that you are persistent. Like, because it is hard. Like, especially for me, I couldn't graduate. I'd never graduated. So it does show something, but I don't think it defines your success level.
It does not at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We were talking to my dad about this last night because he's an attorney. Right. And we were literally just talking about this last night about no one looks at the paper on your wall. And he's like, even as an attorney these days, they're not looking at the paper on my wall. And he's like, the most successful guy I know, like, doesn't even have a technical, like, accredited from a law school. Like, it's just, it's fake.
Yeah. It really is. It's just a piece of paper.
It's a piece of paper in your mind, and you're going into debt for it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And I think sometimes, like, the chase. So, like, I have 2 bachelor's degrees, and it's like embarrassing to say because I chased it. I chased it for so long, and getting those degrees, like, made me feel like I was accomplishing something. But even while I was in the chase of it, I didn't get them till I was 30. So I felt inadequate for a long time. I felt behind. I felt dumb. I felt all these things. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally got them and I was like, yay, I'm going to get my degrees. I remember getting them in the mail and them opening them. And like, there's no climax there. Yeah. Like, it was just like,
you're like, well,
now what?
Yeah. I was like,
all of this,
all of the studying and the stressing and being mean to like my husband and my kids because I had a test or something for what? And I had pivoted completely, and you know, I was doing Bustin' Moves with Taylor, and it taught me certain things. I have them, and they're cool and they're framed, but I don't use them at all. Yeah, you know, and it's kind of heartbreaking. I think it's just something from a long time ago. Like, our parents were taught like degrees, and so then they pushed that on us, and maybe it worked out for them, but it doesn't translate to this world now. No, it does. We're like even like. There's a shortage of trade workers right now, like, because everybody went into college all of a sudden from this big push, and now we're missing all of these other important things.
Which is funny because, like, I grew up with a dad who did trade, like he was a construction worker, and growing up, it was always, you need to get a job so you don't have to do this kind of work every day. And I never looked down on the work at all, but he would always make these comments of like, you know, you don't want to be doing this when you're older. You got to go to college, get a degree, so you don't do this. Yeah. And then now that I'm at the age I'm at now, I'm just like, why was that ever looked at that way? Because, you know, that's a business. And if you do it right, like how you scale your business, it can be really profitable and a great thing. And I don't know why for a period of time there, it felt like, or maybe that's just the way I viewed it, but it seemed like people didn't, want to do trade jobs, and now they're coming back, and it's like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Because if you can take a trade,
I've seen 15-year-olds on TikToks like repairing leather shoes, and it's like
that, and they're gonna be,
it's random, but
so
it's awesome, and it's so cool.
Exactly. Do you have any skills of landscaping? Because
no, I'm actually like really handy. We bought a house in Hawaii when we lived there, and sold it during the whole COVID situation, but we pretty much remodeled that whole thing. Loved it. We actually debated doing like a remodeling business instead of this when we moved here.
Wow. Honestly, that's what I was about to tell you.
And it came down to a couple things. Just wanting to do what we're passionate about, and always knowing that we can go back to that. It was like, we're not going to lose those skills. We still do little projects here and there and building all these things, but it was like we wanted to just go for this because we knew if we didn't try this now, it was just
absolutely no.
But I mean, definitely have thought about that, like other skills and
we've been trying to get a hold of landscapers, and no one answers their phone. One of the voicemails was, due to the community support, we are no longer taking new customers. I'm like, nice. Somebody, if you had the skill to be landscaping,
so busy,
go start a business in Pocatello and landscape.
And see, if I would just do it, it would be your way of not being
make it
the one
look good.
And that's the thing. At first, you have to. Like that's what you have to do. You have to do it at first. But you have to have the mindset. You have to set the standard. You have to have a mindset of being like, hey, I have to document everything that I'm doing, so then I don't have to be the one that does it. You know, so you can teach somebody how to do it. So that's because one of our employees, his father-in-law has a landscaping. They do like 500 lawns a week. You know, 500 lawns a week. Something like it's incredible. Yeah. But he works 100 hours. He's like mid 50s, I think, maybe 60s, and he's still pulling all those hours right there with his guys, which is cool. But it's not, you're not an owner. You're an employee. You need to be out of there now. You got to be out of there. At that point, you got to be able to pull yourself out and then grow to 2 or 3 more crews. You know, instead of doing 500, do 700.
Scale.
Pull yourself out.
Bigger.
Yep,
but you know what, though? Now he's managing somebody doing 500 lawns, so he can't even fathom the idea of sitting down and writing out his processes because he has to go manage those lawns. So it's always document as soon as you start. Document before you start. Like if you have an idea for something. I started a cleaning company. I started documenting before I started.
Yeah, you never even went to a I did 2
cleans the entire time I had that, and it was
documenting
awesome.
Like processes.
Documenting processes. How are we going to answer the call? What questions are we going to ask? How are we going to call people back, and what are we going to say? Like, there's nothing more awkward than having somebody on their line and being like, they're like, so, and you're like, I'm trying to book. And they're like, what? It's just so awkward. And you don't want to do that. That's going to turn someone away.
Or hello. You're calling a company and they just say, hello.
Hello. Yeah.
No, like, I want to make sure I'm calling the right.
So start document now, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and then adjust it once you get there. When you learn and you figure out what jives with you, documentation. Like I even have like a little notepad with me. Like I was just bringing it around. I love it.
Be prepared.
Yes, be prepared.
I want to go to when you jumped into this company.
Yeah.
So let's hear about that.
Okay, so I was teaching. I was super passionate about it. I taught middle school, and I love middle schoolers. They get a lot of crap. They're great kids. They give you crap, and you can give them back, and then they don't cry. So it makes it fun. I love teaching. But at the time, I just had my 3rd baby. I had 2 little ones at home. I was coming up on my maternity leave. Yeah, this was January after Taylor had started. I was coming up on like going back, and I sat down and I was just like, okay, daycare's going to be X.
After maternity leave.
Yeah, after maternity leave.
Okay.
And I'm only making this. And in my mind for a second, I'm like, what if I work for Busted Moves taking calls? Because it was something that I was already doing like on my lunch breaks and different things like that. So I'm like, why don't I do it like full time? And I have a background in sales. But I was like, oh my gosh, if Taylor says yes, this will be the only thing that brings our family money. And that was scary to me, that this is it, right? Nothing else is coming in. And so I didn't want to say, and I was cooking dinner. He came home from a move and I'm like, hey, so crazy idea. Cause I knew he was going to run with it. That's Taylor. His dream has always been like, my
He's
dream
been
would
waiting
be.
for you
Yes,
to
he's all, my dream has always been for us to work together in some way. And I never knew how that was going to be. Like, it just didn't make sense for me how that was going to work out.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, hey, so I did the math, and like, turns out I would be paying $20 to go to work after like daycare and gas. And he was just like, ugh. And he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, so I kind of thought maybe I could come and like help you with sales. And he's all like, yes, like immediately he jumped all over it. We set up an office area for me. I started taking calls. We started coming up with a sales script, started taking like things like deposits, started doing confirmation calls, started doing call backs, which like
follow-ups,
small businesses lack, like call back, like make them say no to you. And I had that, like Taylor and I are both very competitive. And so I had that competitiveness when it came to getting a sale. Right. And I was doing it for my family. So I had to get that.
Oh,
sale.
yeah. So you have that fire burning in you now.
Yes. And Taylor was like, you know, doing the moving and the operations and building that side up. And I was thinking like, okay, what TV stations can I call? What radio stations can I call? What newspaper places can I call and be like, hey, we're a new business. You want to do a story on us? You know? And we had some that did. And it was nice. And I think I have a degree in communications. And so that's where I was able to use my degree, you know, and my degree in teaching, like writing out scripts. That's where I was able to use that.
For sure.
And I think that I listened to you guys, one of your podcasts, the most recent one with the cakes.
Okay.
And she talked about talents and skills, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like Taylor's mind is a very OCD mind. Taylor wants to do waking up in the morning and going to the bathroom, the most efficient thing. Like everything is like the most efficient thing.
It's kind of annoying.
Which is, what's the process?
Yes, what's the process? Here's the most efficient way to do it. How could I cut down 10 seconds?
Start on your left foot.
Right.
Literally. It's so annoying.
Literally.
Yeah.
And for me, I have this like creative side where like a little bit of marketing or a little bit of social media or like getting the word out. Like I like doing things like that. And so that was a talent for me. And so I think those two things kind of coming together has made Busted Moves what it is.
Yeah.
So
you guys together,
Yeah.
united on this.
yes.
And that's
baby.
great that you have those different like talents. So probably makes you more reassured in her end of it and vice versa.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have separate roles then? So like with the creative aspect, the moving aspect, behind the scenes, all of it, do you guys have certain
Hats.
Yeah.
I think for sure, Taylor, like, he's a logistical genius. Like, logistics, coming together with crews, thinking of, like, scheduling things certain ways. He is so smart in that
Just like
way.
when you guys came and did the film, I should have been better about this, but right when you guys took off, I'm like, I hope everyone takes the same route.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean? Yeah. And like that bothered me so bad that
I
didn't tell
me. On the way there, we were
the whole time we were like, what route are they
She was
taking?
yelling at me that I'm taking the wrong route, and of course she was right.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this would make the most sense because look at it's got this beautiful curvy road. They're gonna want this shot. And then I literally see your van pull up, and I felt like the biggest idiot.
Because you probably went the route that would look the prettiest because that was your mindset. And then our guys are like, we got to get there. So they're going to take the quickest route and it's not the prettiest route.
Yeah.
And that bothered me so bad that I didn't say anything.
You saw
It's
the
like us
future.
too, though. It's
same.
like noted. Put that for the next job.
Absolutely.
To make sure we have these.
Perfect. That's exactly what systems are right there. Like you guys, it's either something that happened great or something that you wish would have gone better.
Exactly.
And then you document exactly what you want. So now you guys will never have that problem again.
Oh, never.
For sure.
A lot of things.
Yep.
As long as you don't make the same problem twice, then it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that. But sorry. So
no, but what's nice about is like we get to kind of share hats.
Yes.
And that was one thing. Like, Taylor and I spend 22 and a half hours together of the day
Every
with
day.
each other all the time, every day. So it's nice because we get to bounce off these different ideas. And I see it like on the sales marketing side, right? Like I'm just like, hey, what about I go do a presentation with these people? And Taylor's like, well, do those people bring us business? Is that going to be beneficial? Like he's more on the efficiency. And then he'll be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this with the movers, blah, blah, blah. And we're able to bounce off these ideas with each other all the time, constantly. which is like a good and a bad thing because sometimes we are also like we have to stop talking about work because our kids need us or something, you know. But
when we first started these roles, it was tough. Marcela took sales and customer service, and I was like in charge of dispatch, logistics, and running the movers. I wasn't at the jobs, and you were taking a few sales calls. We did have a sales rep.
Yes.
And so that summer, it was 2020, I think it was, or 2021.
Yeah,
it was crazy because we were so involved with it. Marcela's like, I never want to work with you again, like because we never got to leave it. You know, we had three kids. We had 3 kids at the time. You know, we're at the dinner table trying to eat dinner. I'm getting text messages from the mover saying this. And I'm like, well, why did your salesperson say this? And so it was rough when both of us were so deep into it. Now we get to be in it, but we get to be in more of a creative mode of things, you know,
just moving the needle forward, not just like dealing with like the day-to-day issues. Big thing was like getting a customer service problem. And, you know, I'm talking to this customer and I'm like, your movers did this because that's what the customer's telling me, you know, and then Taylor's telling me and he's just like, no, your customer did this. And so it was too much on our plate to be husband and wife. He is my best friend, to be business owners, to be parents. It got to be too much. And it was scary. Like we got to a scary, scary point where I was like, I got to be completely out. Like I have to completely remove myself because this is going to cost us so much more if I stay. Because we didn't have the tools to handle it at the time. Right. Yeah. So I pulled myself completely out. I ended up starting another business. Taylor did the moving and I wanted him. I didn't want to be in there and I didn't want him in my business. Like at all.
Totally separate.
Totally completely separate, which hadn't been something
which
that
I'm sure made it really hard.
Super
like
hard.
Knowing you do want to support each other, but like you're trying to just have boundaries. And
Well, that's what I was trying to tell Marcela too. I was like, you know, we built Bustin' Moves. Like I started it without your support, but then you came involved and you were 100% business owner. We were full-on partners and we built it into something really, really good. And then it got so kind of heavy on us. She pulled herself out and she started her cleaning company. And there were so many times I'm like, we are the secret sauce together. Yes. Like we could build this cleaning company, something special, but we have to do it together. 100%. And you didn't want that.
I didn't want that. So it was something that I really learned about myself. I love starting. I love the building, the processes, the marketing strategy, the content pillars, all the groundwork, that hard stuff that people don't think is fun. I love that stuff. Yeah. So I started a cleaning company and I wanted him to not do anything with it because of our experience with Bustin' Moves, right? Like we almost got divorced. It was really bad. And so I started the cleaning company, but then I started it and I'm like, I'm done.
But tell them why you started it.
Okay, so this is the reason why I started it. Okay. Taylor started Bustin' Moves. I was not supportive. It turned out to be an amazing thing. I felt bad, guilt. Because I'm like, if it was for me, we wouldn't have this. You wouldn't have this success. We wouldn't have this money. I don't deserve this, right? I don't deserve this. I shouldn't be getting the vacations and the house and the cars. I shouldn't any of that, because people would always be like, oh, good job, the two of you, and I want to be like, no,
you didn't feel like you had it on your back too.
So when you said you didn't support him though, but you did at 12 the loan, the car. So I mean, maybe you weren't supporting him verbally, and helping him, but like the way I'm seeing it, like if it was our situation with Sarah, like you're still there supporting him, like he knows
as a human,
absolutely, and like, absolutely. So and Taylor didn't feel that way.
It wasn't like a hostile environment.
No, not at all.
It wasn't like I come home from work and she's just
you suck.
But what I had to do with her is I said no plan B. But I had to show her a plan B so she would feel comfortable. I said, okay, if we buy this truck for $12,500, let's say we don't get a job, I sell that truck for $12,500 and we walk away even. Oh. No harm, no foul. So like I almost had to show
Give me reassurance that we could get out of this.
That we could be able to get out of it. Even though in the back of my mind, I thought, whatever.
We're screwed.
Telling myself
no, we're doing this. But like, I had to show her that there was a plan if it did fail, because she thought it was going to fail. So,
and I'm very much like, I've been working since I was like 14 years old. I don't like getting anything from anybody. And I felt like it was foreign to me. His success, our success, I didn't deserve it, because if it was for me, we wouldn't have done it. So then I go and I'm just like, okay, I need to prove to myself that I can do this, right? Can I do this? Could I do this by myself if nobody was there supporting me, you know? So then I went on and I started a cleaning company. I like deep dived into YouTube University, have never professionally cleaned a house before in my life. Within 8 months, we hit 6 figures. Within 8 months of being open, we hit 6 figures. We had 96 reoccurring customers, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly customers.
Holy
6
cow.
employees, 2
This business that you started?
Yes, this business that I started. And then I literally had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Like literally the most devastating thing that I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
Like the deepest, darkest feelings because it was so much. And
That's
I didn't
big.
have
That's
him.
huge. Yeah.
I didn't have my secret sauce.
Yeah.
I was trying to do it for myself.
Yeah.
To prove to myself that I was worth the compliments, the whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because it didn't belong to me, right?
Yeah.
But now it belonged to me, but now I didn't have him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I hated life.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because like we talk about social media. And on social media, it's like, oh, everyone would be like, look at your cleaners, so cute, right? Like I did all the marketing and the branding and everything. And it was so, so great. And I hated every day.
Yeah, you're so unhappy.
Not happy at all.
Yeah.
Beautiful business. I wish I would have given it to someone who could have grown it, continue to grow it. But for me, I needed to just shut it down. Like I just needed to like close it and like bury it.
Like back up.
Because it was like a state of mind that I was in. Even though it was a really beautiful
And like keeping you in that state of mind.
Yeah.
You were keeping yourself separate. And you were like
Absolutely.
almost handicapping yourself while trying to push yourself forward.
Oh yeah. I was like ramming myself into a wall, which I ended up literally physically doing.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't. I thought, I was like, okay, mindset. If I break myself, then I can't continue to do this.
Then it's over.
And then it's over. How do I break myself when I'm a mother and I'm a wife? And like, it was that dark. And so Taylor's like, you, whatever you want to do with it, you can do. And I said, I want to close it. And he said, okay. And 2 weeks later, I closed the business. Yeah. And completely shut it down.
And then the feeling in her house was so light. It was nice.
That's
Even
good.
though she built this beautiful business, like it was completely, it had more growth than our moving company, more
Yeah, that
traction.
sounds like a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah, it went really fast. It took what she did in a few months took us 2 years with Bust and Move. So she built this business, but it just took everything.
Took everything from me.
Yeah.
So go on.
No, so I think like, but the reason why I built it so fast is because I learned, like what you guys said, like you wrote down, like, well, this will never happen again. All of the things that we had wrote down for Bust and Moves, I copied and pasted them over here immediately. So to have the benefit.
And it's a good template to like pass along.
Such a beautiful template. And so I've discovered that I like systems, operations, and building. The continuation of that is something that like for me is not for me. The dealing in it day in and day out with employees is like not for me. I can deal with a customer yelling at me all day. Employees, nurturing them, knowing when to come down on them, when to not, is something that I
see. That comes natural to me, but I don't like talking to customers. I haven't talked to a customer in. I can't even remember the last time that I had to talk to a customer.
Like, not my job.
Not my job. That's the first thing that I took off my plate was talking to customers. Like I didn't like talking to customers. But that's totally fine for you. Yeah. Talking to them, even if it's we've done 5,000 moves. We haven't been successful on all of them. We probably have a handful, 2 handfuls of, about 10 people who just flat out, we didn't provide the correct service and we dropped the ball. And so I couldn't handle that. I take it too personal, and I get mad at my guys too. I'm like, man, why do we do this?
On you.
It's such a small
and it
number.
weighs on him.
Yeah. And Marcela, she just has such a way about customer service. It's like, it's phenomenal.
I have a way, but I have an expectation, right? So like, I know that we told our customer, we have our promises, right? That we promise our customer. These are the promises that we're going to do. But as a customer too, like, like if we're going to come and move you and you're not packed, it's just not going to go that great, right? I mean, it's going to go.
There's
Trust
both
me.
sides to
this.
this.
We're going to get you out, but I need you to be prepared too. And there'll be times where like our sales team's like, oh man, so-and-so called and she's real mad, and then Taylor would be like, have Marcela handle it. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, Susan's so funny. And Taylor's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, she's fine. Like,
I know we'll get a text message and one of our sales reps be like, so-and-so is so mad, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, me and Marcela look into it for about 10 minutes. She goes on a phone call for 5 minutes. She's like, we're good.
And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, she's fine. She's okay. Good. Yeah, we're good.
Crisis
go on.
Just a little misunderstanding.
The misunderstanding, or sometimes too, like as business owners, I feel like you will have those customers who will try to hold you hostage by saying something like, I'm going to go post a 1-star review on Google. And as a business owner, that is our livelihood. So we're like, don't allow that to happen. Like 1 stars are your best opportunity to come out and say your side of the story. Okay. So if someone goes on Google, I love Google. If someone goes on Google and posts a 1-star review, guess what you get to do that they can't? You get to reply.
Respond.
They can't respond to your reply. So they get to say their whole spiel. They better take good advantage of it, because you as a business owner, you're going to come back and you're going to be informed and you're going to know and you're going to tell everyone. Taylor does our responses for our Google. And we have 1-star reviews on there.
I think there's, out of the 700 plus reviews we have, I think we have 3 1-stars.
Yeah. And they are like,
and they suck. And it's a little bit of, we dropped the ball a little bit, but it's also the customer,
Yeah. It goes both ways.
For sure.
Yes.
One of them, I said, I wish Google would let me do a consumer review on you. We wouldn't have hired you, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was very mean to everybody.
Yes.
Every single person that she dealt with in the company, she was mean.
Like, you're not our customer.
No. And we still have to provide a service, because to hold our promises up. But don't let customers hold you hostage by saying, I'll give you a 1-star review. It is an opportunity for you to explain yourself, and it makes you look real on there. If all your reviews are 5 stars, that looks shady. You're like, what's going on here? And so it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't be so scared
And
about
I would
it.
counter that. Don't accept a 1-star until at least 100 reviews. Try to do what you can.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer,
Right.
because Google is a living, breathing, they like every day they're trying to figure out who's a real business and who's not a real business. So if you have one of our locations, we have 200, Idaho Falls, I think we have 240 reviews with a 4.9 review, but we have a couple 4 stars, 1 3-star and 1 1-star. But Google recognizes that as a real business, because they said nobody could be perfect. Nobody can just.
I like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you don't want to start your business with bad reviews.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But no, we're at a point where if we messed up, we're going to make it right to you. We're really going to do it right. But if we both have to be able to come to an understanding, but we're at the point with our reviews is where we can say our side. We can show Google like, hey, like, with our CRM system, we did this, and this. With our process, we did this, and then Google's like, okay, they're legit business, and even though it's a 1-star, they still push us because they see what we're trying to do. And so, Google wants to put real businesses in front of real customers.
Yeah.
So
use Google.
Yeah.
It's good that you respond though. Don't just like delete the comment, because that's the.
You can't delete it.
Oh, not on Google.
Oh, on Google
you can't delete them.
That's good too then.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
so
it's good.
It is good. And if you ever do get a bad review, let's say you have someone on your podcast and they get mad at you for something, you can like report it and stuff. Be like, hey, that's not real, Google. Like, this isn't what happened. Google will look into it and do different things like that. But
How about a counseling session with Google?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He said,
Yes. Yeah.
I want to talk about the creative side of your business.
Okay.
And like, you said you're always busy with like your different hats and what you're doing. Do you guys both come up with these creative ideas? Because you're at the top level. Like, you get to come up with like what everyone's doing. Like, you're deciding what they're doing.
Right.
I think it's so interesting. Taylor, so when we first started Busted Moves, Taylor had like this notebook, right? And he would wake up like at 4 or 5 in the morning and listen to YouTube videos, listen to any kind of moving company owners out there. And he would write down all these ideas, right? And I think that was like him getting his inspiration. Once he got his inspiration, he has created like the process to be this moving company.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Taylor's creativity, you can't see it like in a painting or like in an artistic form, but you can see it through like processes for him.
What was the book that you recommended us to read last time we were talking with you?
Systemology.
Does that play a big part in what you do with your planning?
Absolutely.
Yes, now it does. Big time. We just hired a new office assistant. You guys saw Mickey. Mickey went back to school, so we filled her spot in the very first day. Systemology. Like that's anyone who works in our office, inside the office, we have them listen to Systemology. It just goes over. I mean, because we don't want to be doing everything in Bust and Moves. We want Bust and Moves to be running so we can do the creative side. So Marcela does a lot of creation with like the social media, stuff like that, the fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm Aquarius, and so I have like those creative juices inside of me. So I do like the content and different things like that. But for us, it's just going back to those basics. I think Taylor, we've been really creative with like our positions, the sales, how we structure it, how like to do calls, how to even like put certain information into our system, like our follow-up process. We have something that's called like Cement. You call, you message, you email, and you text. We have those systems that we've created. And I think that as an entrepreneur, sometimes you feel like you're stuck behind a computer, right? Documenting, setting things up. But within that, there's creation and there's so much freedom because like you said, you get to come up with this whole process, with this whole idea, right? So like our sales is something that we've created, our sales training. Taylor does a lot of like the sales training and, has like our assistants like document it. But he blurbs out these ideas.
It's crazy. I do the sales training, but I don't talk to customers.
Yes.
Like I feel like I've mastered sales with never talking to a customer.
But I think it's because we run our business off reports. Speaking about boring things.
Yes.
We run our business off reports, and Taylor sees reports and he sees correlations, right? So he sees a relationship. So, okay, we were doing this script. We got these results. We did this script and got these results. So this script is the one that we need to use for ourselves because that's what gets us results. And I think that you should get to a point, everyone should get to a point in their business where they run it off reports.
So you're literally tracking like the script you're using and what responses you're getting.
Well, that's what our assistant does. She picks five phone calls. Yeah. She picks 5 phone calls for each sales rep.
Okay.
And she listens to them. And we have a sheet that she has to grade. How many times did they say how many times did they seem confused? So like we hired somebody that doesn't bring us money in to perfect the people.
To make sure they're doing their job.
To make sure they're,
and
exactly.
to save us time, because if Taylor and I had to listen to every 5 phone calls from all our sales reps,
that's not happening.
I mean, you know what I mean? 30-minute phone calls.
Yeah, probably. And so that helps. So I think like creating Mickey's and shout out Karina.
Yeah.
She just joined our team. Position has been something that had to be created for us. Because it's not like, if we hire a mover, you are going to be a mover. If you hire a packer, you're going to be a packer. Salesperson, you're going to sell things. Executive assistant. You know what I mean? And so we're like, this is what you're going to do. This is exactly how you're going to do it. There's this little videos on everything that you do. So we just plug people in.
That's
and their
awesome.
Training's all in there.
That's
How
great.
easy as a business owner would it be
That's so cool.
to hire someone if their training was all documented and you just had to sit them in front of a computer screen for a few days so they can learn their position and then they're doing it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So that's what we do.
And you're not having to do it. Like
that's something that like big companies do. So to see that in I mean, you're a big company for sure. You're definitely growing.
No,
biggest now.
You're good. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
But that's like, I mean, we used to work in retail back in the day, and I was at Abercrombie and she was a Hollister. That was a big company. They're making millions. And like those are the kinds of onboarding processes that they had, where they would send you detailed paperwork and videos to watch, where it was very specific, and like those are just big company moves. So that's really, really cool that you guys are doing that.
And we've even hired a couple coaches, and we'll like show him everything, and he's like, why am I even here? He's like, what are you guys?
Well, no. Come back. I paid.
But no. And so like we are a small business. I completely understand that we're a small business, but we do want to have a corporate type system.
Be serious.
To be serious. Yeah, exactly. And it's not how we started, but that's definitely what we've been working.
And I mean, at the pace you're going, it probably will be corporate one day and big enough.
I really hope so.
Just keep that going.
I think we have something. There's the biggest moving company in the country is 2 Men in a Truck. And they have like,
I've seen those commercials.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like on Hulu or like on Disney shows and
they're
stuff.
from forever ago, like my childhood.
They actually have a really cool story. Like it was two brothers and their mom, she would book jobs for them during the summer. So that's where the two men in a truck come in. It was a mom.
Interesting. That's cool.
And then all of a sudden she got so busy. She's like, we need more. And I think they have like 500 locations.
And it's so cute. Like if you look at pictures of her, like she's just like this cute mom in front of like a big old moving truck. I just love it for her. But,
so that's our goal. We want to be a big company. And so those are the steps that we have to take.
And here's the thing too, though, like we have employees, right? That right now are young. Like we have some guys that have been with us, we've been in business for 5.5 years that have been in business with us for 4.5 years of that. And those young men, are one day going to be older men. We want to be able to give them a career. So the only way we know to do that is to grow Busted Moves, to open up positions like an ops manager, a port manager, dispatcher, so that they can grow within us and we can all grow together. Like we have a really soft spot for our employees. We love them all so much. Yeah. And we want them to have everything that we have.
That's really cool that you have that mindset, and especially the growing of scaling and creating more jobs. Yeah. Versus like ours, it's not really at a point where we could scale and make jobs and stuff. But that's a really cool.
You get people all the time who want to be involved.
Yeah.
Like,
can you hire
I have a
me?
camera. Can I help shoot? I'm like, I mean, I would love to, but people in this town aren't paying that money right now. And we're just not there yet. We're just not there.
But you're going to be there because you're going to have somebody sitting behind that camera, even though you guys have that talent and that ability. You're going to have somebody sitting there so you can just talk and you don't have to, worry about.
One day I'm not setting up any of this anymore.
You're gonna walk in. Your coffee's gonna be there. Everything's in it. You're gonna sit down. You're just gonna talk. Yeah, absolutely.
Manifest it.
I see it.
I believe it. I 100% believe it. Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
No, what I loved about your questions though is a lot about creativity because like I don't feel like I'm a creative person, but then Marcela's because like when you think of creativity, you think of like branding and marketing, art and stuff. I'm like, well, I kind of did that at the beginning, and I do feel like that's what entrepreneurs like. They kind of run. They think that's what creation is, so they're like, well, then we got to rebrand because that's
start over.
And so Marcela's like, no, Taylor, you created a process for moving. Our guys know from the moment they drive into the lot where our shop is, they know exactly what they're doing. They know where they're parked. They know when they get in the trucks. Like, so like creating is inside of me. And to me, I just view it as running things efficiently, but that's creating.
It is.
And so.
Yeah. And Taylor has a very fluid mind. Like I'm very like one track minded. Like I'm doing this in this little box and I can't do that. And I can't think about that because I'm doing this. And Taylor's like fluid and he can see like the whole big picture and connect things and bring things together. And that's why he's like such a logistical genius with like dispatching and setting crews up. And I'm like, that is creativeness right there.
That is true. Like that's mapping literally where people are going to be throughout a day.
Exactly.
And that's important with this job.
You're able to see out like a physical the creative thing you want to make, and he's able to see
make it in action.
Function, where that person's walking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So after all of these years of running Busted Moves, what is your advice for someone who's going to go open up their own business? Just like something you've learned.
I would say kind of what we talked about a little earlier. Burn the bridge, burn the boats. Just go all in. If it takes you your life savings, if it takes you your credit card, if it takes you whatever it takes, do it. Just go for it. And sometimes it can be a passion project, or sometimes you can just be like, I can make a lot of money at this. Money's okay to be a motivator. It's not sustaining. It's not sustaining because you'll never have enough, And so I say go for it. If you have inspiration to work for yourself, to build something, create something, just freaking do it.
Yeah. I think for me, it'd be always be learning.
Yeah.
Taylor and I were talking about this, and I feel like Taylor can relate to this. Like, I came to this country, I didn't know, or when I was born in this country, I didn't know English. I didn't learn English till I was in first grade. So I felt behind, right? Not knowing and not understanding cultural references and things like that. And then when I was 9, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. Couldn't read like in the 3rd and 4th grade when all you're doing is reading. So I felt behind. And then my parents couldn't afford college. So I went to a technical school and I felt behind. And then I was in college till I was 30 and I felt behind. But during that whole time, I was learning, right? I would listen to podcasts, I'd watch YouTube videos, just pick up on things people would say around me that were, I thought, further ahead in life, or, had surpassed me or whatever. And like, I see where I am now, and I look at my path that I was always like, I'm so behind. Everyone's so far ahead of me. Like, I'm never gonna be able to catch up. Like, look at them. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, look at me now. You know what I mean? I'm so far ahead. Sometimes you're just working and you keep working. Life is long. Mm-hmm. Just because you're not where you're at right now doesn't mean you're not going to get there in a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I think that always learning has helped me come to where I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Learning, persevering, keep pushing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and like adapting, it sounds like with both of you too.
Yeah.
With what's going to
the
work.
biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Be humble with if something in your mind was going to happen this way and it doesn't, be flexible, be humble enough to be like, man, I kind of messed up, and be flexible. I was watching TikTok and I saw this motivation guy talking, and he was talking about like driven people. And I feel like I'm a pretty driven person. Like I like to have a good time, but I do feel like I'm kind of wired to be driven. And it said driven people, 90% of the time, we feel like we're losing. Like we're always behind. We're never ahead. So much to do, and then 8% of the time we're confused with what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then 2% we're like, hey, we did it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't last very long.
No, it's over.
I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just
you need
over.
It again now.
You need it again.
Yeah.
And I know that's what makes us successful, is because we have failed around 10 to 15 moves. And those 10 to 15 moves that we didn't do good is what drives me to be the best possible. Yeah. So it would take a lot for, I believe in competition, but it would take a lot for somebody to come in and try to compete with us. And I want it to be that way. Mm-hmm. I have such a competitive drive, and I always feel like we're losing. Like every morning I'm like, Marcela, we're going bankrupt.
I'm like, today's down.
We're done. This is it.
I always give him like 10, 15 minutes of him just like spiraling. And then I look at him like half an hour later. I'm like, are we good? He's all, yeah, it's not that bad. I'm like, okay. But like with what Taylor said, and like what you said about adapting and growing, and those 10 customers, and me being a customer service person, I hear when a customer is just upset and is going off on us, I have a pen and I have a paper and I am listening, right? Because even though our intention wasn't to make them upset or wasn't to make them mad, that's how they perceived it. So what can we do differently, right? Yeah. If you shut yourself off and you're like, they're the worst, they don't know what they're talking about, they suck. No, they're probably wrong. Don't suck. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's probably something to be learned. Whether it would have been like, don't book that customer. That sometimes that was the answer there, right?
It is.
Yeah. Or if it was like, you know what, she's right, we did mess up here, or he's right, we did mess up there. Like if your ego and your pride is too big that you can't hear, you're gonna miss out on those lessons. And man, are those lessons expensive when someone's going off on you, right? So like sit there, listen, you're in it, learn from it, and gain from it, right?
100%.
So that's what I've learned in customer service.
I like that. That's really good advice.
Great. Don't get defensive.
It sucks, and it's
just
hard.
Look bad every time.
Yeah.
And like I said, we just moved, and so like something was left behind that I wanted the movers to grab, and I'm like, I could see where a customer, if they had to go back, and it was just like a broom or something. They left it behind because we needed to sweep after we left, but they didn't communicate that. So I was like, I can kind of see where like that was the last straw for a customer, being like, oh my gosh, I had to go and
like, now
put my broom. Yep, exactly. Now, even though it was a broom and one of those spin mop things, I just keep adding to the list. Every time.
Actually, two things.
Broom, car,
TV.
That's it.
That's it.
No, but so I could, and now having that perspective, being like, you know what, they're going through a lot.
Yeah.
Like when we signed our papers, all of a sudden it didn't record, so our stuff had to stay on the truck for a night.
So we had to get a hotel room when we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know,
and we didn't have clothes. I didn't pack the kids' clothes, so I was like at Walmart. I'm like, what do you guys want to wear to school tomorrow? Like,
so I could see like
how those days can be extremely stressful.
How those days can be really stressful. So when we're doing our customer service, we try to like, you got to listen, and maybe they'll say something like, well, my closing didn't have, okay, now we found the problem. Because one of our reviews, she said we didn't budget for this, but she was mad at us
Mm-hmm.
what the problem was is they didn't budget
The price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even though they hired you and paid you.
And we're moving them from Rexford to Idaho Falls. So that's a kind of a good, expensive move, you know? And so that was the issue is they didn't plan ahead. It was a successful move. Nothing happened. Nothing was damaged. Very standard 7-hour move from one town to another. Very standard, but they didn't budget. And that was the problem.
The upsetting part
for her. Yeah, exactly.
So it was more like she was just calling you to tell you she was upset. She wasn't really looking for.
Yeah, she was
anything?
just, I think maybe like expectations, you know, maybe her expectations of the move to go a lot less. But moving for different towns, moving like I think it was like 3-4 bedroom house with like a garage, like 7 hours. That's success.
Well,
you know what
we
I
have
mean?
a 3-hour minimum. And so you guys said it would only be 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's confusion.
So there's confusion.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And what's good is we record every phone call. So I told Mickey, I was like, hey, Mickey, will you listen to that phone call just to make sure? Because if we did say it was going to take 3 hours,
that's on us.
We're going to compensate her for it.
Sure.
So I had Mickey listen to the phone call and she said, nope, all they said was, we do have a 3-hour minimum, but we'll hit that because we're going from Rexburg to Idaho Falls.
And we email and text that. So it's in writing and it's like verbal.
Yeah.
It's like all over the place.
But after being a moving customer just this last week, I'm like, I could see where things would get missed in communication stuff. So that's obviously we're going to implement stuff that we've learned from that.
And that's what we did. We started sending out like in the text, like 3 hours. So like you get it in an email, you hear it, and then you see it in a text. You know, that's as much as we can possibly do.
Yeah.
Besides like coming to your house and be like, hey, 3
3
hours.
I'll be here soon.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. It sounds like you guys are just doing all the good things that would really benefit like any business.
Yeah. We I think Taylor and I, like, we love running a business. I think that's fun for us. Like, it's like a sport. And it's been fun. Working as like husband and wife, you guys know, is hard sometimes, but it's honestly something that like, keeps us close. It keeps us very in sync with each other. So it's fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
And probably even like home life, family life. It just keeps everything tight.
Yeah, it really does.
Sure, going through all the things that you have done with starting your business, it's probably a much sweeter business now with you two together. Much more enjoyable.
It really is. And we're at a good place where we get to create.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm glad to be back.
Those things had to happen for you to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And then Bust Moves is going to reap all the benefits of you closing down Made to Shine.
For sure.
Yep.
Maybe bring it back and then you'll have like Busted Moves move, then you'll clean their home
Cleaning
after. I want to add more services. What we did though is people didn't know
a move is already just so involved though. Like what do you add on to that?
Right. So home security. We want to, that's
I like that.
Like adding
that's awesome.
Home security installations and stuff like that. No, I don't know where it's
just one guy at the front door.
Hurry up and hire a guy.
He just stands there until the move's done.
No, I like that. Well, thank you guys so much for coming down here to be on our podcast. Drive all the way down here.
Yes, we had such a great time. This was so fun.
Yeah, it's really great getting to talk to you and learn more about you guys.
Same.
Fun learning all about busting moves.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for
Bye,
listening, everyone.
everyone.
Bye.